Hello, 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 and welcome everyone once again to episode 11 of The Orbit. I'm your host, Azrael, and as always, I'm joined by my good friends and teammates, Mr. Exiles Rhythm and Mr. Rude Clouds. How's everyone doing today?
Doing well over here. How are you doing over there, Az?
I'm doing pretty good. Been playing a lot of Rage 2. I haven't been playing a whole lot of Hearthstone, but I've been waiting for that game for months, so I've been having fun with that. But other than that, more of the same. Have been squeezing a little bit of Hearthstone in here and there, but new game got my attention.
Yeah. How could it not? I think we're at a point where probably we can be a little spoiled for choices, and Hearthstone will still be there.
But they got some new stuff coming out this week that's going to grab my attention right on back.
Wow, always ready to promote content.
That's right.
Exiles, how are you doing, dude?
I, just like Azrael, have been waiting on Hearthstone for months, but they're finally releasing it tomorrow. I found this new game mode called Wild, which I've actually been having fun with. So, I mean, for the first time in the past 5 or 6 months, Blizzard has impressed me with their impressive balance. It feels like I get a good mixture of games over there. Did you know there's 9 classes, not 3? It's mind-blowing. I've been having a great week.
That sounds like a bug, and they're probably going to address it in the next patch. But
no. We've been talking about them addressing things for a month. They haven't done shit. So
I've called out Ixar 3 out of the past 3 weeks. He still hasn't addressed the issues that I've brought up.
Out of pure curiosity, what decks are you running? I know I caught you playing one. I think it was a Shutterwalk Shaman for a little bit on your stream, and it looked like a lot of fun and also very memey. What else have you been doing?
I did that, and then of course I harkened back to my roots with Evenlock. I went 29-6 or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're like top 100 legend right now, is what?
No, I went from 25 to 10 in 2-3 hour streams. So.
Well, shortly you'll be facing off against top 100 players, probably when you hit around rank 6. So,
because there's that many players playing Legend, my final boss for 5 is going to be Trips.
I hope so. I hope it's through like a 5-match, battle royale, and you have to go for the head.
That would be disgusting.
You guys just keep queuing into each other.
What have you guys been into in the Hearthstone world? I know you said you've been playing Rage. Have you been delving into the dark side of Blizzard though?
Yes, I have been sticking true to my roots and been playing a little bit of ladder. I actually popped over to EU because I forgot that I had a bunch of packs to open up over there from the expansion that came out like 6 weeks ago. And I was just like, I was streaming the other day, and I was like, I should probably open these. So I had a very delayed pack opening stream. I was not as lucky as I was when I opened my packs on NA, where I got like everything. I actually only got like 5 legendaries. It was pretty painful for like a lot of packs. And that's including like the one they give you for logging in.
You got pretty much the most out of your pity timer possible.
Yeah. But what I found out is that even at, I think I'm like rank 10 or something, or 8 or 11 or something like that. I can't remember, but I found it even at that level, pretty much everybody's still playing Rogue.
It makes sense too, right? Like that just makes the most sense. You've got a class that's so powerful, so friendly, no matter your skill level on its power level. And so it is interesting because I feel like EU sometimes does have those curveball picks in the meta that really, you're like, why is this getting so much play? Same thing, you'll look at Asia's ladder, and I'm sure they'll look at the NAs, and all 3 of them, there's 1 or 2 decks that are kind of poking their head out that people are just confused about.
Right. What about you?
Yeah.
But look,
No, I'm looking, and I was just gonna say from my side, I've been doing the whole dance back and forth from rank 2 to rank 4 for the past week. It's been a grind. It's one of those things that at first, it's like the stages of grief, where you go through all these different layers. Anger's in there, denial's in there, you got everything, and then I started to work my way towards acceptance towards the end. So
wait, you skipped the stage in there, the most important stage.
What's that?
Blinding rage.
Well, so there's anger and there's blinding rage. I like it. We should bring on the person who created the whole system and talk to them about their influence on that. But thankfully, I played on stream, and then I wrapped up off stream on Monday night, and I ended up getting to rank 1 at least. So parked at rank 1 0 stars because I can't ever accept hitting rank 1 star. I either have to keep going until I get in a comfortable spot or bottom out. But
what's a comfortable spot at rank 1? If I'm rank 1, I'm like, I might as well just keep going.
Like, rank 1 5 stars is comfortable.
1.2.
Okay, X, I challenge you the next time you are rank 1 5 stars for the first time. I don't mean like you just got it for like the 4th time because you're trying to break a legend. I want you to get to rank 1 5 stars and end your stream and not play till like 2 days later. That's what I challenge you. No, you can't do it. You can't do it. Your chat will riot. So how can rank 1 5 stars be comfortable if you'll never ever stop your stream?
Oh God, I would never stop my stream if I was rank 1.
I'm out.
Like
that's true.
Every time I hit that level, I just stream until I either pass out 30 hours later.
I've been there for those.
Or
yeah, or you hit it.
Or I hit rank 4.
Yeah,
but I will stay at rank 1. The only place that's comfortable at rank 1 is rank 1 legend.
Mm-hmm. And even that, it's still relative,
Yeah, but luckily we don't have to rely on this dumb ladder anymore that's full of dumb rogues and dumb warriors and miserable warriors and some hunters, because the Dalaran heist is coming out. And before I even had a chance to watch the trailer, my man, Mr. Rude Clouds, wrote up a dope article which prevented me from needing to actually put any effort into looking up anything for this show. I just read his article and now I'm a GD genius on the subject. So go to eternalorbit.gg right now and look at our latest article, which is written by Rude Clouds, and it's fantastic. When it went through the editing process, you won't believe this, chat. When it went through the editing process, 0 changes made. This man he's phenomenal. Please give him the love. Please give him the love.
Yeah, I actually read through it twice because I was like, no, I must have missed something. But no, Eric is flawless. Flawless victory.
It was funny. I stayed up. I was like, maybe I'll write an article.
Don't even tell me you wrote this like 3 a.m. on no sleep after like binge playing Hearthstone for. I'm gonna come to California and I'm gonna cut you.
I brought it up probably at like 6:30. I added Azrael because Azrael, as I mentioned, is kind of our editor in certain capacities. So especially when it comes to text in our articles. So I added Azrael saying, hey, if I was to write an article, we'd like to give people at least 24 hours to prep for it. But hey, if I was to write an article, would you be available to edit it? And then literally 15 minutes later, I just started writing the article. And because I'm so neurotic, I stayed up until 1 o'clock. And it didn't like need me to. Like the article was pretty much there anyways, but I just kept parsing through it, making like one tiny change, like, oh, I don't need a comma here. And like keep on going back and forth like that. So if you look at the article on the admin side, it shows how many revisions there are, how many times someone has gone in and edited it, and it'll add to the revision number, and it's high. It's much higher than it needs to be. So let's just say, oh no, I just appreciate the kind words and thank you. It was very fun to write the first article, even when I was kind of just parroting information that was already out there and putting it in a different way.
Yeah, dude. Like I want to say, I need to say you crushed it. I can't gush over it enough. I am so jealous. When talking about commas, when I write something, I basically just sprinkle in commas and wait for as to fix it.
Well, actually, you write like you talk. That's the thing, is you write like you talk, and that's fine if people know how you talk. But somebody that isn't familiar with Exile's Rhythm streams would be like, I'm confused.
No, I got it. I'm just I was just trying to give more.
Yeah,
we need the mad scientist on the team. Like, come on, that level of just like hypermania. That's what really sells. So thank you both, though. That's very kind of you to say. It was a lot of fun writing.
It was fun reading. I read it multiple times.
And then that will actually do a really good job of transitioning us to our next little overview piece here, which is our weekly Twitter poll. So I'm going to post it in chat real quick. Anyone who hasn't gotten to vote yet, please do if you'd like. We, again, as usual, at the end of the stream, we'll go over the Twitter poll and we'll kind of see where things are shaking out. But for this one, in relation to the Dalaran Heist, the tweet reads, with the first chapter of the Dalaran Heist being free, then either 700 gold or $7 per chapter. There'll be 4 additional chapters, so it's either going to be an extra 2,100 gold or $21. $20 total if you buy it all at once. Is it worth that price of admission? The rewards for Rise of Shadows are as follows. For the Dalaran Heist are as follows. You'll get 3 Rise of Shadows packs, a golden classic pack for completing an entire, all 5 chapters, and then a golden copy of Zale the Shadow Cloak, which we'll be going into a little bit later. But it's a very cool card.
Which is a very cool card. I like that.
So
it has to be worth it because in China it's $1 for 1 arcane dust. So a golden classic pack is going to be worth a minimum of 1,600 dust.
Yeah, I'm curious how they
$1,600 value.
Are you serious? Is the arcane dust $1 there?
Yeah, so in China they're selling arcane dust it comes with a loot or comes with a
right.
A card pack because they have anti-loot box laws there.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't directly purchase the card packs, but they can purchase dust, which comes with the free card back.
Yeah. It's an interesting way to skirt the system. I'm planning on us doing a future episode based around loot boxes, microtransactions, which are including China's stance that all these Western companies that are much more familiar with that system have had to work around in the ways that they've done it. It's very interesting. So great point, X. But right now, again, please go vote. The votes are going about how I expected, but and actually it's updating live. So you know what? Now they're going even more as expected. But I'm curious to hear some thoughts here for sure once we get to it.
I can't wait to talk about it actually because I have an opinion on this. I do.
I love it. So yeah, that's a nice transition for us.
Yeah.
Actually, here, anything that you want to break down for us here, as?
Yeah, there's actually a couple other things that we're going to be talking about this week in addition. So, as we already talked about, we're going to be diving into to the new content that's actually pseudo out now. Like they've revealed it. The streams are out. Like we all kind of know what to expect now. But it actually goes live tomorrow, probably at the normal time, which is like 1 p.m. Pacific. 1 p.m. Eastern, like 10 a.m. Pacific. But we're going to dive into that a little bit. We're gonna talk about your article and the things that you outlined in that article that are going to be in the content. There's also some other stuff. We're going to step outside of Hearthstone a little bit. We're going to take a step back. We're going to talk about some of the other things that are going on in just big news in gaming in general, and some more big Hearthstone news in there as well because we just love that here. And of course, we have the 10-minute meta. We're gonna talk about what the meta looks like. Surprise, guys! You probably see the answers coming, and X is gonna help us out with an interesting addition to the coach's corner. Do you want to tease the subject, X, or do you want to make them wait?
Oh, we can make them wait. It's gonna be a pretty fun topic.
You saucy man. But yeah, so we got a full show. We got a full show, and it was funny because we do this like every week. By like we finish wrapping the show on Wednesday, and then we have our little post show meeting for like 5 or 10 minutes. We're like, what the heck are we going to talk about next week? And then by Sunday, we're like, okay, well, we can probably talk about this, and maybe we can make a section about this, but then by like Tuesday we're like, okay, there's not enough room, what do we do? And then literally an hour before the show today, they're like, oh, here's this other big huge piece of Hearthstone news, cram this into your already. So we got a lot to talk about. It's gonna be fun.
It's like they know.
Thanks, Ixar.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is like, I can see him just like waiting until it gets closer to hit that publish on the article. Yeah, they made it. It's gonna be a stuffed show and something that it's nice because it's a lot of good topics to talk about. I think so excited. And that transitions us very well into this first section, which we've already sort of covered the article that's out for our site about the Dalaran Heist. What we're going to be doing is kind of breaking down in here for everyone, just kind of what the Dalaran Heist is, some of the mechanics behind it, some of what you can expect going into tomorrow, because it's the newest solo adventure that launches tomorrow. And just sort of getting everyone prepped as well as our thoughts on it, because there are some things that I think lend themselves very well to discussions and how we feel about it. So yeah, I'm ready to just jump right into it.
Do it.
To kick things off, again, it's called the Dalaran Heist, and so as we mentioned, there's going to be 5 chapters to it. These chapters were before, if you remember old adventures like Blackrock Mountains. These are referred to as wings before, where you just kind of go against all these different levels of, multiple bosses in one level, then you go to the next one, multiple bosses in the next.
It was meant to emulate like raiding in WoW.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And something I think to this day is still very cool. And I'm glad that they have that kind of structure, because it having that association is very cool, but also tying it into this game and making it feel like you are doing little boss battles, working your way up to this big boss. It's all very cool and something you don't really do otherwise it's a PvP game, something you don't experience otherwise. So a lot of fun there. The first chapter of these will be free. The second one you will have to start paying, whether it's 700 gold or $7. And then going forward, every single week they'll release another chapter up until they have all 5 chapters out. So what does that mean for you to get started? Well, the main thing you'll want to know with these chapters is that they're unique in of themselves. You're not just facing bosses every time you go in there. You're not even facing necessarily, but there's also mechanics that are part of each of these chapters and tied in directly to them. So this new mechanic for the chapters is called a rule. What a rule is just a special effect that is only for the chapter that you're in, that's active every single boss fight you're part of. So really quickly, I'm just going to walk you through all 5 chapters that are going to be available, and then what you can expect once you start a game and you face a boss in these. First chapter, Dalaran Bank. So for this one additional note real quick, it's very cool how well they tied in kind of like the theme of these rules with the area that they're taking place in. So this first one, Dalaran Bank. On your opponent's board, there'll be a 0/3 minion called a Cache of Cash at the start of the game. If you destroy that minion, then both players get 2 coins. So already pretty cool and pretty flavorful. You're in a bank. There's a little thing of currency in the side, and you knock it out, and both you get whatever spills out of it, which is going to be coins. Like, very cool. This next one is actually my favorite. Because it reminds me a lot of playing Burning Crusade in World of Warcraft, but it's the Violet Hold, and that's not necessarily the part that ties it together. But for this map, each player's board contains one untargetable minion called an imprisoned minion. Both of those will actually hold a minion inside of them, but that minion only becomes active after a certain amount of turns have passed. So Grim Patron was the example they showed on one person's board, and it said, hey, this Grim Patron will not be active until 3-4 more turns. So basically you have a dead minion until 3-4 turns pass, then a Grim Patron comes out, and they're fighting for you or against you, however it's placed on the board. One thing that I'm really hoping with this set, or with this specific one, is that Millhouse Mana Storm becomes an option.
God, yes.
Anyone who played the Burning Crusade, a very similar area called the Arcatraz, which is kind of like Violet Hold. It's basically this giant prison. Imagine this giant space prison, and inside of it, they're housing all the worst criminals in the entire world, just like in the galaxy. Just all these terrible people. And so you're fighting the boss, and as you're fighting them, they're unlocking these kind of cells, so to speak, and out comes this little mini villain that you have to face. So in the Arcatraz, what happens is the boss says, okay, here, like I'm unlocking this first cell, you have to fight that, whatever that weird creature is. I'm unlocking the second cell, you have to fight this weird creature. And then there's this big buildup, like, you know what, I'm gonna unleash the biggest terror you've ever seen. And they open the cell, and Millhouse Mana Storm comes out and is like drunk. It's the best thing. He's like, wow, I have a headache. Like, I can't believe what happened. Why am I here? It's hilarious. And for the rest of the fight, Millhouse Mana Storm is on your side, and you take on the boss together. Very cool. Just a quick little side note on how fun I think that would be. But again, main point, Violet Hold, you get an imprisoned minion. These next ones I'll jump through. Streets of Dalaran is chapter 3. Each player's board has 3 untargetable cart minions on it, but the big difference here is that these stay stagnant. So you will only have 4 minion spaces to work with for the entire time that you're in chapter 3. Again, pretty flavorful. You're on a street, and you can think of street vendors. They've got their carts out. It just all lines up very cool.
It's clever.
These last two won't necessarily make any sense, but that's okay. Finally, we have Chapter 4 with the Underbelly, where all of your minions will have their attack and health swapped along with your opponents. And finally, going into Chapter 5, the Kirintor Citadel. This one, the rule is that there's 4 additional bosses that you face, or at least 4 additional encounters that happen. So no little special effect, but you do have additional people that you have to take on. After you've unlocked all of these chapters, all 5 of them, even if you haven't beaten them, you'll unlock a mode called Anomaly Mode. And with Anomaly Mode, these random rules that not random, I should say, these rules that you've been encountering, like you've got the carts on the board, you've got imprisoned minions, that sort of thing, you can swap those for completely random effects, which makes it a lot of fun. The example that they've provided is an effect called Wild Magic. And with Wild Magic, what happens is every spell that you casts for a second time, and if it's a targetable spell, say a fireball, something like that, its target is random. So you could fireball a minion on the board and then fireball your own face. Things like that. So it just really has the chance to get super memey, super quick. And that's kind of just the foundation of what you can expect once you're actually in this setting, once you're in these chapters and you've purchased them one way or another. These very cool effects. So I think I like the way that they've set all this up, and I'm excited to kind of experience it as a player. And then I know that you had gone into kind of the meat of, as a player, what you'll be doing, and so I wanted to hear your thoughts
on the chapters.
Well, actually, yeah. First off, as the chapters, just real quick, even if because I know you have some Warcraft experience.
Oh yeah, see. To me, the best expansion in WoW was by far Wrath of the Lich King. It's right there neck and neck with Burning Crusade. I mean, I go back and forth all the time, but I think at the end of the day, it's always Wrath for me. And so Dalaran holds a very special place in my heart because that's the main city that you're in, and they do such a good job, like introducing characters and themes from that city. I love it, and I can't wait for it. All I know though is that when Wild Magic is a thing, it's gonna be a game on my streams. How quickly I get murdered by my own spells, because anybody that's seen my RNG knows that 97% of those spells are going right to my dome. So, yeah. But I'm excited for the variations and the randomness and the they call it roguelike. I'm excited to see how roguelike it is. But I know that I've gotten a lot of fun out of these encounters in the past. So like I actually put a lot of time into the monster hunt stuff. So I'm excited with these new twists to see how much fun I can get out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of like new twists that they're putting on the stuff, in addition to like the different rule changes and the different mechanics that are going to be in each encounter and the anomalies that are going to be in there to mix it up, there's a little bit of customization that they're adding to the to the game as well. So normally you select a hero and that hero is what you have for the entire game, and their hero power is what you have, and you don't have any flexibility. So like anytime you want to go back through the dungeon run and you pick whatever character you're picking, that's just the same one that you've always played. But now they're introducing this cool new mechanic, and I think this is actually really clever, where you can unlock different hero power abilities. And it's pretty neat. So the example that they give you is Rakanishu is the one that you start out with, and he's the little fire from the lamp in Togwaggle's lantern. He's a little mage, and he has the basic mage hero power. But then you can unlock 2 other ones, and they emulate like spell effects that are common in the mage class, but you can unlock them and replace your hero power with them for later playthroughs, and that just adds another level to it. So it's another combination of things that you can do to go through and kind of mix up your experience, or even like customize your experience, or have a challenge like, hey, I want to make it super hard, so I'm going to pick all the worst things. There's all kinds of cool ways that you can have fun with that. And I really like that that kind of change. X, I know you spend a lot of time doing dungeon runs and PvE content. Do you think that's like a good change? Is that going to add an element to you that's going to make it more fun?
Do you know what I was doing before I called you in this Discord call? I was playing a Rastican Rumbles run as a rogue.
I could have guessed.
So I think it's good. I think it's great because I've always taken issue with the fact that I'll go for that early pick, the home run ball.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Be like, I have like 12 more cards I'm going to get that I can get value out of this, and then I wish I could take it out. Or like you'll have a really, really good bundle with 2 cards you absolutely need, like 2 Tinker Sharp Sword Oil, and then something like bad. I can't think of bad cards. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, and like you just want to get rid of it. I think
Millhouse Manastorm?
the 2/1 Murloc was an example that they used.
Yeah.
Let me get that guy out of here.
Yeah.
So the friendly encounters are going to be really cool.
Yeah, so the friendly encounters are going to be something that's kind of new to this experience because you'll be able to you'll be able to like play NPCs that don't want to kill you, and you can just swap things out of your deck, and you can actually like change what goes into your deck. So not only can you change your hero power, but you'll be able to change cards in and out of your deck, which is something that's never been seen before. And I like that a lot because then you can feel like you're not going to have such like a wasteful deck. Because there's how many times is it when you're playing a run, you're like, I want that one card, but the other two I don't want. And then you got to take them because there's the one card that you do want. So so that's another layer of like replayability and like manipulation that you can add in to make the experience more unique and more interesting. And every playthrough is going to be like wildly different because of that. But then on top of that, they're going to have like in-game quests, and that's how you unlock the hero powers as well. And examples I think that are the freeze 30 minions and then play like 100 cards are the two. Yes, yep. I had to look. I was trying to remember, but those are the two that you can do. And that's how you would unlock some of these different hero powers. So you have all these different hero powers that you can get. You have the ability to manipulate your deck. Overall, it's going to create a lot of different variations and a completely different feel, I think, than the traditional run. So I'm actually excited for that quite a bit.
It's got me really excited hearing you guys, the Warcraft experts, I think is the word I'm going to use. The Warcraft experts on the team are saying that there's so many integrated story and thematic things from World of Warcraft, and I'm hoping personally that they'll get me into it, because I know with the Rascan's Rumble thing and the just the original, the OG Kobolds and Catacombs dungeon runs, which I love both of them, but there's no connection to anything. There's no story for me. I have no idea why I'm playing as a wolf cat thing, Rascan's Rumble, but hopefully this will be more engaging for me, who's more just a no WoW only Hearthstone fan,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is cool the throwback that some of this is going to have to some of those old lore references, like Eric was talking about too. So I'm excited to see how much they can work that in, because there's a lot of like I said, it's somebody that spent a lot of time in Dalaran. There's a lot of like characters that you take for granted that you just like, I see this character all the time, every day, and then to see them pop up in this game years later, it's just going to be a fun experience for me.
Yeah, when you mentioned Rikanishu, the flame from Togwaggle's lantern has a name.
Yeah.
Like Blizzard went.
Well, and just imagine the voice lines, and imagine maybe the actions that could happen. Like, that's Prime Blizzard, is taking a character like that we're aware of but haven't really identified in any special way, and then making it front and center and having us go, whoa, like the flame from inside Togwaggle's lamp, like.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for them for the big reveal at the end, for their for their big twist at the end. Rakanishu is actually Ragnaros' son.
Oh, it's gonna be on like drama. Jerry Springer. It's gonna be Ragnaros and Ragnaros Light Lord next to each other.
I've got this envelope here. Are you ready for me to open it?
Even better if it's like, you are not the father, and like Ragnaros does a backflip or something.
Yes. I told you it was Alec here.
I love this. Can we Beautiful. This is the new segment for us, right? The Jerry Springer, Hearthstone Jerry Springer. Can we just bring this back?
Yes.
Oh God. They say do what you know. So, wait. I shouldn't have said that.
So, Eric, what do we get for doing all this fun new content? I mean, like, at the end of the day, people they play games like this for the reward. If the reward is packs, if the reward is leveling, ranking up and getting your highest ladder rank ever or whatever, what's the incentive here to do this?
Great question. X, I wasn't sure if you wanted to touch on this as well.
I can take this.
Yeah.
So at the end of each section or chapter, as you will, you're going to receive 3 packs, assuming that you clear it. And once you finish the entire thing, you're going to get Whizbang. No, Gold's whiz-bang. No. Zale. Zale Shadowcloak is the name. And what it is it's whiz-bang only cheating. You don't want to get that really bad mage deck. Just play Zale, because Zale only gives you one of the evil classes, which is Priest, Warlock, Warrior, Shaman, or Rogue. So you won't get any of
all the good classes.
Unplayed classes. And you have a 2 out of 5 pack to get 2 out of 5 chance to get a good class.
Yeah.
So it's just a strictly better whiz-bang at the time. Also, once you finish, you'll get a Golden Classic pack, which, as we discussed earlier, just mad value if you take the conversion rate of Arcane Dust to Chinese dollars. Let me flex my how you say cultural insensitivity and not knowing.
Well-read man.
But yeah. So, and then at the end of it, if you're a nerd like myself or Azrael when it comes to statistics, they keep track of literally everything. How many times you press your hero power, how many which heroes you normally use, and just your best of everything. If I went through all the stats that they had named, I would, we would just go over forever. And the coolest part of all of this, and I was mentioning the story engagement, is this is part 1. And there's going to be 3 parts during this expansion. So I'm glad that Blizzard is finally addressing the issue of balance by moving it to a PvE game rather than a PvP game.
Well, PvE games are much easier to balance because you don't have to involve player skill. It's just all triggers and mechanics, and I'm sorry, I'm getting cynical here.
I brought us there though. Like
right.
I feel like I can't talk for more than 30 seconds without complaining about Warrior.
I am actually really intrigued with these rewards. I think these rewards are they're very, very cool. Like, they're exciting. Like, I don't need classic cards. I have all the classic cards. I don't even need that many golden classic cards. But just the idea of getting a super rare golden classic pack is just so cool. Like, I don't even want to open it. I just want to leave it there just to look at it, just like mouse over it once in a while and watch it go vibrate. Vibrates.
There's people, I'm gonna take over real quick from that. There's people like Redbeard who are arena streamers, and I see them open their packs when they get a win, and you just see the golden classic pack hanging out up on the top left there, and you're like, look at that flex. Like, look at that just low key flex up there. Like, that's not a bad idea, just to keep it and just to tantalize.
Just be like, look, I don't even need this, guys.
Yeah, this means nothing to me.
But I'm not a strong human being. Yeah. There's no way I could keep it.
Oh, don't get me wrong. That'll last maybe a day, maybe.
Yeah.
They gave out gold loot boxes before in Overwatch. I don't know if you guys played Overwatch.
A lot. Yeah.
Yo, that was so exciting when that came out, and it was, I don't know, it was just like golden. It felt like golden. I'm not even gonna go down the Overwatch route because that'll just take me a whole new game. So
yeah, no worries.
How do you guys feel like about the adventures? I know we talked about, as you talked about, you were excited for the rewards. I talked about how I was excited for basically everything that you said. As Eric, how do you feel? How do you feel about all this?
So, even to tie this kind of into our Twitter poll question, I am very happy with the rewards. The fact that every single one you clear at least gives you something like 3 packs is nice. I wouldn't have been shocked. I would have been disappointed, but I wouldn't have been shocked if, honestly, you didn't get 3 packs at the end of a run. So, what I think, though, is I think it's still a missed opportunity, because if they really want to push the play rates of these modes, I think, as we had talked about before, there needs to be there needs to be a reward of some kind, whether it be gold, whether it be packs, whether it be some kind of achievement. I don't know what, but there needs to be some kind of reason to bring people back once they've already gotten all the content. I think if they could have done, hey, if you finish a run, you get 10 gold, 20 gold, and that stacks up to three times or once a day or something like that, for a max of 30 to 60. Like, I think something like that'll get the play rate going, and that'll keep the engagement going, especially during those times where it's like, hey, you know what, ladder's being a real pain, but like, I really just want to play this now. Like, that's just that additional little voice on your shoulder saying, hey, keep playing this mode. Like, at least do it for the 3 times so you can get your gold, and then you can wrap up if you want. But I think it's a missed opportunity for that, sincerely. So I'm happy with what they are doing, but I think they could have gone even further and really made me just ecstatic.
Yeah, it's a step in the right. It's a step in the right direction. But I mean, in chat's echoing your feelings here, and I'll even echo them. I'm somebody, and I'm saying this for context. I know it probably sounds like I'm trying to chest thump here, but I have all the cards. But I would still do this more often if I would get something out of it. Not because I need just more cards, but just because getting that feedback, that reward. Yeah. Makes it feel valuable. But beyond that, like, we all know that Hearthstone has like the lowest reward rates, and I feel kind of like skeezy, like saying give me more free stuff. But you know, people put a lot of time and energy into this game, and a lot of money into this game. Even when you give them free stuff, most people spend some amount of money on this game at some point. There's very few people that play it like truly free, that play it on a regular basis, and giving a little bit of reward to, like, you know, because it's like the carrot, right? Like you play this PvE content and it gets you into the game and wants you want to play more, and it teases you into wanting to play the competitive side, which you need to, you know, get these card packs and get this gold for. And it would be a nice way to get a little bit of extra gold without having to be so competitive all the time. So I really like that idea, and I think that it's totally reasonable that, you know, if you have 100 gold cap a day that you can get from doing you know, playing on the ladder,
the 30 wins.
Yeah. Why couldn't you get a third of that gold towards your cap from the PvE content? So that way you don't have to stress out and spend 6 hours every day grinding out 30 games to get one pack of cards. You could spend 2 hours doing this fun thing, and then the other 4 hours doing the less fun or the more grindy thing. So I actually like that idea a lot, even if it doesn't have to be a huge reward, just something. So I agree. But overall, I really like it, and I do think that they gave us more than I expected, because in the past, you know, with the last few adventures they did, it was just the experience of it. But now they're actually giving us something, and they're kind of cool. Like I like the idea of this like anti-whiz-bang card. It's kind of cool.
Well, and that almost leads me to one final thought about all this, is the fact that this is also evil based. It makes me hopeful that going into the next expansion, it's sort of a hero based expansion, and they can do the flip of this card. They can say, instead of Zale the Shadow Cloak, it'll be whatever, Mike the Holy Hammer or something. I don't know.
Mike.
But yeah, you know, just casual Mike, the Defender of the Light. And yeah, so like something like that, and then they could have it be the flip again. Like, now you're going through this whole run system, but instead of facing, you know, these defenders, you're facing the evil henchmen maybe that you had faced already, something like that, or that you had played it as already. I think it opens up a lot of really strong narrative opportunities, which is very cool. So like, again, I think they just hit it out of the park with this one, but like, that's even just a cool thing to think about, and hopefully that they integrate.
I'm definitely excited with the direction. Sorry, go ahead.
I would much rather play Mike than Zale, personally, because then I wouldn't have to play as warrior or priest.
I love it. And it probably still has the same Uther, put your faith in the light, but it's just maybe put your faith in the mic.
Don't
put your faith in the mic.
Clip it.
Put your faith in the mic.
Oh, you're gonna kill me, dude. You're gonna kill me.
Thank you.
But don't worry, Axe. You'll still queue into the evil warlock or the
evil. God, everyone
I love that. You could do matches that way too. You duel someone and you're a light deck and they're a dark deck.
Ooh, I like it. I like where this
Tavern
is going.
Brawl incoming.
That's right.
But awesome. Thank you guys. It's interesting. It sounds like we're all happy about it, and any reservations we have are pretty minor in the grand scheme of things.
I would agree.
So yeah, good job, Hearthstone.
Yeah.
So we as I say, we brought up that there were flavor elements that were ingrained from WoW into Hearthstone. Rumor has it WoW Classic had a release date.
Yes, it did, X. In fact, just yesterday, they finally announced the long-awaited WoW Classic release date, August 27th, which is also Judgment Day, isn't it? Or is it August 29th? I can't remember. It's like the same date, but it doesn't matter. August 27th this year, WoW Classic, and actually they released quite a bit of information about it. So I'm super excited about that, because I'm gonna play me some WoW Classic, because I played WoW on and off up until like a year and a half ago. But I've been longing to go back, so I'm super excited about it. But they got the stress test, or excuse me, the beta tests are starting like today. like
Oh.
today. Yeah, so you can go right now. You can go into your Blizzard account. If you don't have a Blizzard account, just create one. It's like free, right? You go in there, you create one, and then you just opt in, and they're randomly going to select people to be in the beta opt-in, and then even if you don't get into that, you can get into one of the stress tests, and that's basically they invite anybody that wants to play because they just want to break their stuff.
Yeah.
But go there, opt in if you want to get in. They pick people at random. You can get into the stress test or the beta like starting right now. It's already live. They've already been handing out beta keys for that. So, but then they've announced the dates for the stress test. They're starting in May and in June and in July. They've got stress test weekends. They're doing 3 sets of them. But the really interesting thing is, and I'm kind of excited about this, and Eric, you probably are too. They actually announced that they're going to let you create your character a full 2 weeks early on August 13th, so you can reserve that name, because everybody knows like the day of when you want to log in, get in there, and just like create your character really real quick, so you can get that name that you've been dreaming about for 3 years while you waited for this game to come out. So I thought that was really cool. Not only that they're doing it, but that they announced that they're doing it and they're going to let you get in. But another interesting... Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say just a nice note about that as well is because the big reason people want to reserve their names so quickly is there's people who just hop on and take every name possible. They fill up all their character slots with just names, and some people even sell them. I remember when I was playing WoW.
Why are you looking at me, Eric?
During the first 3 years, I'm just looking. Okay. In the first 3 years it was released, I remember people selling names and selling characters. It'd be like, this is a 70 character, maybe, or 60 character. But the real fact is that their name is like Frost or something. Like that's the selling point.
Yeah.
So
some cool name.
It's what's cool about this is the fact that they're limiting it to you can only reserve 3 names ahead of time with 3 characters ahead of time as well. So that way, I don't know, it'll be nice. You're not logging into the launch day servers that I'm sure, even though they won't be a mess because, you know, Blizzard should hopefully have it figured out by now. People might just be logging on quicker, or maybe you'll be at work or something, and all of a sudden I can't take root clouds. I have to be like butt clouds.
If
I'm
you
hoping I don't have to be
name
butt
your
clouds.
WoW character Rude Clouds, we're not friends anymore.
I am. I've got a whole system in my head, and I can't say it on stream because people will take it.
Well, now Rude Clouds is out
Name it
there,
Mike.
so you know.
Yeah. Oh, big surprise.
I'm gonna make an orc shaman and call him Mike. I think it's just the most flavorful thing I could do.
I love it.
Wow. How dare
Now
you
hook up with
spit on me.
Magatha. I'll hook up with Magatha.
If
love
it's
it.
not a human paladin named Mike, I'm not going to be friends with you
Yeah,
anymore.
the only
Copy
thing is-
Azrael's threat.
Damn,
Yeah,
I guess I'm
WoW-
just not gonna have any friends, not even by extension anymore.
Yeah. Especially if you try to play an orc paladin, because they don't exist.
No.
Well, they will now.
Put your faith in the mic.
So another Oh my God, this is just derailing as we right in front of our eyes. So one other thing to note though is that WoW Classic, even if you don't want to buy the full game or whatever, it's going to be open to everybody with an active WoW subscription for at least the first month. So you can try it. You can just try it. If you play WoW now and maybe you came in really late, you can go try it. It's going to be a little bit of a culture shock for you, but but to me, as somebody that's played decade plus of WoW, it's worth the frustration and the reward, the sense of achievement from classic WoW. And Eric, I know you probably back me up on this one because of how much harder it was compared to what WoW is now. It was like so rewarding. Like I remember the first time I downed a raid boss back in vanilla content, and I was just like, oh my God, it was so hard and it felt so good. So I cannot wait to live through that pain again. And it's gonna be funny because I've done it all and I'm gonna go back and it's gonna be just as hard, and I can't wait.
Yeah. Raid boss. Forget raid boss. We're talking about blue drops. Your first blue drop. I remember mine. I remember being a paladin and completing the quests, because I don't think I actually got a blue drop for my first Deadmines run, but when you turn the quest with Van Cleef's head, you get a piece that you can choose from, and I'm fairly certain that I chose the sword that came out of it when I should have chosen the chest.
Yep, the chest is amazing.
Chest is incredible, even though it's leather. I'm like, oh, I wear mail though.
Back
Not
then it wasn't
important.
penalty though.
Yeah,
We need to bring that quest flavor into Hearthstone. We're handing someone Van Cleef's head.
only been in every single world champions deck, don't worry,
Oh,
or
man.
in lineup. Real quick
Just
note I want
saying.
to make as well, just because we had Ash ask it. For anyone who's interested in playing WoW Classic, it'll be the same $15 a month subscription that you would pay for normal Warcraft, World of Warcraft as it stands. So if you have an active subscription to World of Warcraft, you're gonna have access to just WoW Classic. But if you don't, you'll have to still pay that $15 a month to have full access to it. Good for those double dippers. If you don't have one active WoW account like mine, well, then you're going to be also paying 15. So yeah, super excited though. Honestly, it's all I can think about.
Yeah.
I was watching beta streams today because it went live, as Agile mentioned. I was just watching streams at work of people playing.
I'm so jealous. I'm checking my email like 4 or 5 times, literally 4 or 5 times a day. Like every time I get a notification on my phone, I'm like, crap, it's the wrong email.
Like, Mom, I don't want to talk right now. Get off the email.
I don't love you. You're distracting me.
There you go. But speaking of which, staying in the Warcraft universe, there's also something a little more exciting that's happening in modern day Warcraft, which you don't hear as often about because through the ups and downs of the past 15 years of World of Warcraft, there's been lots of ups and lots of downs. But today, Blizzard released one of the most beautiful cinematics I've maybe ever seen, but especially one of the best World of Warcraft cinematics I think of all time, in my opinion, just because if you look at it from a pure graphical standpoint and just the beauty of it. So we're going to show you all that. We're going to discuss a little bit about it as well, and then take it from there.
I left that life behind. I'm no one's savior. I will not lead the Horde.
I didn't ask. But I hoped you would at least fight for it.
Oh man, I've watched that cinematic like 4 times. It's just so well done. It's so dramatic. The music is so perfect.
It's beautiful.
It makes me want to play like the straight up Battle for Azeroth, which I have played 0. I bought it. I intended to play it. No, I bought it. I intended to play it, and I just never did.
Yeah.
I just never did because I was like, I'm not in a WoW mood. But seeing that cinematic is like, am I kind of active right now? Because I want to log in.
Yeah. I highly recommend everyone to, even if you don't play World of Warcraft, go check out that cinematic, twitter.com/Warcraft, or if you type in just World of Warcraft cinematic, it will be the first result. One of the coolest things about it is its representation of rogues, honestly. The fact that this whole cinematic, let's just say that undead rogues show up, and the way that they kind of brought to life, so to speak, their mechanics, things like stealth and all of that, and their attacks vanish. It's so cool to see, and I just was losing it at work. I had to stop this grin that was growing on my face because of everything about it was the best.
Doesn't it just take you back to like when you first started playing WoW, and like in your mind you're imagining that's how your character's powers actually would look in real life? That's what it did for me, because my first character at launch, I was in the beta back in the old school original beta, and I played a warlock, and then at release I played a rogue. So. Oh man, I loved it. Oh, it took me back. Anyway, I'm getting excited right now about a game I don't even want to play because it makes me want.
It's okay though.
Yeah. But there's a lot going on in that. Like, and we picked that clip in particular because it kind of teases what's kind of been going on in the world. I don't want to spoil it for people that don't know, but there's a lot of like crazy stuff that's happened over the last like year. And I've been kind of following the WoW lore, and I know Eric, you do as well.
Yes. There's pretty much a Horde civil war going on right now. Sylvanas is the war chief right now, and they have been making some very questionable decisions, some like very brutal decisions that a lot of like the older, like more, they would consider themselves at least the more honorable Horde would say like, oh, this is going against our way. This is too barbaric, or this is too like, none of this is done with honor. That's just the big thing they keep coming back to. Sylvanas is kind of seeming a little unhinged. So that whole sequence is Surfang, a really high lieutenant in on the Horde side that's been around since vanilla WoW, going up to Thrall, who we all know and love. Thrall's been a little bit in their own sort of self-imposed exile. I'm going to break this down very quickly, where the reason that Thrall is not really involved with anyone right now is because back in Warlords of Draenor, Thrall had to face off against Garrosh they challenged, or Thrall challenged Garrosh again to another 1v1 battle, and Thrall was able to defeat Garrosh, but using the power of the elements, which was against kind of the code of that battle that they both agreed on. You're not supposed to really introduce that. So, from what my understanding is, the elements sort of are penalizing Thrall and saying like, hey, like we're not okay with this by taking away Thrall's elemental energy, at least to a large portion. And now the Thrall that we kind of know from before, this big, elemental shaman, has sort of been reduced a little bit. You saw him pick up the axe instead of Doomhammer, seeming more of like a melee warrior, of course, than like a traditional shaman. So this is Surfang saying, hey, guess what, Sylvanas, maybe not the best choice for a war chief that we've had right now. We need your help in this revolution to take back the Horde to the way that we want it to be run. So
you know what I took away from this whole clip and this whole explanation? That the next hero card that's going to be released in Hearthstone is going to be Warrior Thrall.
Or Surfang.
No.
Or Surfing, yeah.
Yeah. I just want to see Thrall as a warrior and then Grommash as a shaman. I just think that would be funny.
Can you imagine how confusing that would be to talk about in a warrior shaman match?
I would be more confused than when I watched when I looked at the gender swap picture of EO.
Oh.
This is a good picture.
It was a very confusing picture.
Confusing in the best possible ways, though. But that's not like the only thing going on in gaming this week. I mean, that's some pretty big news between the new solo content coming out this week, and of course all the WoW information that has been released. But also there is a bit of like excuse me, I'm stumbling. There's a bit of Hearthstone competitive news that's coming out as well, which is they're changing up how they're doing the Masters starting after this first round here. June 7th, they're actually going to switch up and I guess streamline is a good way to say it. They're going to try to streamline the process for the Masters qualifiers, among some other things. That news was what we were talking about at the beginning of the show, was released like literally minutes before we went live, and we were scrambling to get all the information around to throw it into the show here. But it's so important. We thought we wanted to at least touch on it for a minute. Guys, did you have a chance to read any of that information at all?
Yeah. So the general overview is they're cutting in half the number of qualifiers that are going to take place. And they're also going to take efforts to speed up some of the tournaments. They're going to remain specialist, but some of them are not going to be Swiss, but single elimination. The coolest part of everything they did, though, was they took the people who made, I think it was 6 top 8s. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not going to read through the article right now.
Yeah,
they made 6 top 8s or more in these qualifiers. They retroactively put them into, or qualified them for the tournament, for the Masters qualifier, and for the Masters, and they're going to do that moving forward. So if you're just a consistently high performer, you're going to get rewarded, and that change right there,
huge,
that's huge for me at least. It reinvigorates me for trying to potentially go after something like this.
Right. Yeah, because it's frustrating to play in something like this and consistently finish in like 4th or 7th or 3rd place, and know that you're good enough, and you just, because you one matchup you don't get the draws, or you get paired up against your hard counter, and all that time and energy and practice that you put in goes to waste. And this kind of rewards those people that show that they're consistently good, but just for whatever reason it doesn't quite work out. It gives them a chance to actually go to that next level.
Let me put a name out there. Let me put a name out there for one of the people who just never won one but got in on this. Ostkaka.
Yep.
That's exactly who I was going to say too. Yep. Yeah, which is one of the biggest names in Hearthstone, and even he is struggling to get in. And boom, now he can go on.
I mean, there's a couple names on this list that you see around, and a few of them you just see on like High Ladder, but that name definitely stands out.
Oh yeah.
How do you feel about all these changes that are going on? I know you haven't been a fan of the specialist format. What do you think about their decision to keep it, Eric?
Yeah, so it makes sense. I'm not going to say that I'm in love with it, but it makes sense them going about it this way. I think Blizzard's biggest thing right now is selling people on Specialist. I don't think we were going to see them turn off of it as much as I really wanted to, but in such a drastic way. I think this is their meeting in the middle, and it's made a lot of people happy just meeting in the middle, especially this kind of responsiveness, because there really hasn't been much communication from the Hearthstone esports side in general. In regards to some of the complaints that people have had about Specialists. So this is a really nice positive step. I'm optimistic about it because I think it does go to show that with enough people vocalizing their concerns, and this being top to bottom, you may have people who are very consistently critical of Blizzard, and that can make other people who view those opinions as maybe just a little biased. But when you have just this biggest range of people who are competing, you have grandmasters, even all these different sets of players who represent the highest level of Hearthstones and have built trust just through what they've done in this community. To have them also call out these changes and then show so much relief after they, once they make a positive step in them, really goes to show where the state of things were. So I like it. The only thing that I always am just like, sort of iffy about with single elimination is it has great players can have a harder time to stand out than in a Swiss format, obviously, because it comes down to those games. That's it. You either get it or you don't. With a Swiss, a good player will be better served than a single elimination bracket. But I think this is something that they have to do for the sake of the length of the tournaments. Right. It was a barrier for someone like me, knowing that I could potentially be in a 14 to 16 hour qualifier, and that could be my Saturday. And I might, even if I cracked the top 8, even if I cracked the top 4 or top 2, I still might not make it. That's very defeating going into something that I don't think Blizzard wants to have that hurdle in the way before people even start playing. So
and not to mention that it's directly contradictory to their increasing accessibility, right? Like they wanted to make this more approachable and accessible to players, and it's the opposite. It's creating more barriers. You got this huge time barrier, and the fact that because you're investing 16 hours in a tournament, that's other tournaments you can't try to enter if you get knocked out. And I mean, there's a lot of ways that almost kind of a little bit maybe backfired on them. So I think these changes are kind of good to kind of get it back on track for what they originally said they wanted to do with it.
Yeah. So I'm rereading the article here just to make sure there's anything else we didn't cover. I know they mentioned to balance this, each Masters qualifier will award 2 invites to its respective Master Tour events. So please touch on that, X. If
no, go for it. Sorry, I had.
Oh no, that's it. I didn't think that was anything different, but it made it sound like it was. So what was your thought?
I had one about something. And then it disappeared for me. So instead, I'm going to smile, point at the camera, and wait for one of you two to bail me out.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing else on this article, you guys, we will link it in chat. It is an interesting article. We are going to delve into it more later as they reveal more information. It was more like of a notice than it was going into a lot of detail. They skimmed over some stuff. They named some names that they're giving a second chance. So they did basically outline some huge changes, but it's just kind of scratching the surface. So we'll delve into it probably a lot more next week, because next week is Masters, and so we're going to be talking about that, I'm sure, on the show, and this will tie into that nicely. So we'll have a chance to get some more information on it. We'll have a chance to delve into it deeper. Like I said, this just came out minutes before we went live. So the link is in the chat. Go check it out. If you follow the professional scene, or if you're interested in getting the professional scene, it's definitely something you want to take 5 minutes and take a look at and keep your eye on moving forward.
And if you follow the professional scene, you may or may not know that Grandmasters is this week. They did such a good job at advertising.
Right?
Talk about the communication that you were,
Yeah.
I want to ask very quickly. We had talked about this in the Discord,
Sure.
I think earlier today or yesterday. But before that notice, we knew 3 days before it was going to happen. Today, now it's 2 days before, so we knew 1 day ahead of everyone else when this tweet was made. Did either of you know before I had put that in the Discord that this was happening this weekend?
Nope.
No idea.
Yep.
This is the marquee event for Hearthstone.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that should be getting pushed, I would argue, just as hard, if not as hard, than the solo content adventure. and the fact that it's not is very concerning.
Mm-hmm.
I was very excited about the fact that they did make changes as far as the format with specialists that they're using for these qualifiers and everything, but it's very concerning when it's the kickoff to their marquee event with the biggest players that some of them were hand selected to join, as opposed to based off of the metrics that they did choose. But that's concerning to me. It makes me worried. Maybe someone fell asleep on the job, but yeah, I wanted to point that out before anything else.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's kind of like saying, in the other news, the Super Bowl's tomorrow. Okay, guys, have a good night. It's
right.
It does kind of, now that you mention it, raise a bit of a red flag when you sit there and you wonder why they weren't drawing more attention to it. Is it because they're afraid that they're going to get negative attention? Right, because it has these long drawn out matchups, because there's so much rogue being played. I mean, or do you honestly think that maybe somebody just dropped the ball? But the guy they brought in to run this tournament, he's like, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but I remember reading about him. He's this guy that, like, this is what he does. This is what he's known for. He's organizing these big tournaments, these big events. And do you really think he would have intentionally or just like screwed up like that?
So we can point all of the issues for this not to him, because he's the new guy. He's just incoming. He didn't have a whole lot of time. It's XR's fault. This is where
I knew that's where you were going. Oh my god! But
where else could I go with it? I mean, if I don't spend at least 5 minutes of each episode dogging Warrior and at least 2 minutes blaming XR for all of my mental issues, then it wouldn't be an episode of The Orbit. But we can...
Fair.
Yeah. But we should move on to, speaking of all this, the 10-minute meta.
Let's do it. So guys, this week's 10-minute meta, it's going to be a little interesting in the fact that a lot of big changes and swings have happened in the meta over the last 7 days. Okay, I tried to say that with a straight face. I can't.
Kappa is how it's spelled.
Oh man, I tried to. So literally, I've been doing this thing over the last 3 weeks as we've been doing this meta segment where I highlight in green the things that aren't changing as far as talking points go, and one of the things that hasn't changed is the fact that Rogue is still the most popular deck since ever. Mm-hmm. It's the most popular it's been since ever. But we'll get to that in a minute. There's been very, sarcasm aside, there's been very little shifting in the meta over the last month period. The meta seemed to settle fairly quickly after about the first week, and it's been very samey ever since. And there's a lot of numbers to back this up. I've been watching the numbers. I pulled the numbers from HS Replay every day or every other day at the latest, and over the last week. And the prediction that we made last week, which was that Secret Hunter was the deck to play to stay ahead of the meta, and to kind of counter what's out there, was correct. It's still the number one deck in the meta, and it's still holding steady with a 59% win rate at rank 5 to legend, only struggling against really Control Warrior, Token Druid, and Nomi Priest. Now that sounds like, that's a lot of decks to struggle against, but when we get into some stats here in a minute, you'll see it's not actually that bad.
When Rogue is 60% of the matches played, it changes the outlook a little bit.
Basically, yeah. And we got some numbers to dive in here in a minute, but Rogue is still the most popular deck being played. Rogue, Hunter, and Warrior still dominate the ladder in win rate and popularity, but Mage has recently snuck into the conversation, actually pushing Control Warrior out of second place, which is surprising. Wow. Which is actually surprising. That shocked me. I actually had to run the numbers twice because like, wait, what? Because I didn't expect that. And X actually predicted 3 weeks ago that I think it was 3 weeks ago that X predicted that Mage was going to swing up in popularity. It did move up, but it's now in second place after. That's in popularity after Rogue. So here's some stats for you over the top 5 decks over the last week as far as play rates go. The play rates of the top 5 classes right now are Temple Rogue is still number 1 at 24%. It's down a few percent this week from 29.5% last week, which is a 19% drop in play rate, but it's only 5% in presence. But Dragon Mage has actually gone up. It was 8% last week. It's now at 11.7%, so it's moved from 4th to 2nd place. Control Warrior is still holding steady at 11.2% play rate. Again, these numbers are at rank 5 to Legend. Mech Hunter falls a little bit, but still being played 9.8% of the time. And Token Druid has worked its way into the top 5. It was at 4% last week, and it's at 7% this week, which is a pretty big jump. It's almost doubled its presence, but it makes sense because it's a hard counter to Secret Hunter, which is the strong answer to a lot of the decks above it on this list. So it actually makes quite a bit of sense. And the win, but the tiers are almost exactly identical to what you expect them to be. If you looked at the tier list over the last week, it almost didn't change at all. Secret Hunter was at the top, and some combination some combination of Control Warrior, Dragon Mage, Mech Hunter, Token Druid, and Murloc Shaman were in there right after it, with Mechathune Warrior and Bomb Warrior coming in right around 7 or 8 right behind it. So this week, with what we know has been true the last 2 weeks, basically the meta has barely shifted. Secret Hunter is still the deck to be playing if you want to have a good chance against all of these. The numbers with that deck are very, very strong. But I hate to say it, guys. At this point, I'm going to actually endorse playing Tempo Rogue. I know I hate to say it, but I think it's important that we... Hold on, X. Hold on. Here's the thing, like, guys, we just need to lean into it. We need to get that play rate up to like 100%, so that Blizzard will finally realize that there's a reason why everybody's playing this deck. Because Secret Hunter has very, very, very strong numbers, but Rogue still has stronger numbers. The only reason Rogue is not dominating the meta right now is because Warrior is keeping it in check. That is it. The Warrior is not the problem, guys. You hate Warrior. Regis Killman put out a great video on this like a week ago. Great video. If you guys hate Warrior, well, then you need to see Rogue get squashed, because Warrior is like meh. It's a meh deck. X, you've been saying it the whole time. It's a meh deck. It is. The stats show it's an okay deck. It's good in like 3 matchups, and the one it's best against is it's a hard counter to Rogue. And as long as there's Rogue, it's going to be there. So, guys, if you want Rogue to go away, play a lot of it. That's how you get rid of the deck. You play it till Blizzard goes, there's 60% of every deck is Rogue. But it's actually just a strong deck right now. The numbers don't lie. And if you alternate between Secret Hunter and Tempo Rogue, you're going to have some success if you're playing it well. The same deck list I recommended last week is still the deck I would recommend this week. And I will paste that deck code in chat as well. But I wanted to give you guys just a couple of stats on Secret Hunter. And this is taking over the last week, right? So this isn't the week before. This is over the last week with the shifts that are above. The win rate with Secret Hunter is 59% against all decks that's playing. If you take out its hard counter, Token Druid, its win rate is 65%.
Wow.
Now, when you note that Token Druid is only 7% of the meta at rank 5 to Legend, that means 1 in 14 games is going to be that hard counter. The rest of the time, you're better than 2/3 favorite against almost anybody you're playing if you play smart. That is an incredible number. That's why this deck is dominating right now, even though Tempo Rogue is really strong. And why is this deck dominating? It's 63% against Tempo Rogue, which is 24% of the meta. It's 58% against Dragon Mage, which is 12% of the meta. It's 59% against Control Warrior, which is 11% of the meta. And it's 59% against, get this, Hunters, which is mostly Mech, because Mech Hunter is being played at almost 2.5 times the rate that this deck is being played. But it's 59% against mirror matches. That's pretty darn good. So that's why this deck is dominating. Now, again, with Tempo Rogue, why am I saying Tempo Rogue? X, I'm sorry, please don't hate me. I love you, brother, but I have to give the people the truth. And the truth is that with the exception of the mirror match and Control Warrior, which is about 35% of the games you'll face at rank 5, you have a better than 60% win rate against all other decks. So in 2/3 of your game, you're winning 60% of the time. And then your hard counter, Control Warrior, isn't really a hard counter because you're only a 47%. You're only 3% disadvantage from a coin flip, guys. So that is why these two decks are dominating. Okay, I've thrown a lot of numbers and a lot of information out there, guys. With as few expletives as possible, please tell me what you think about what I've said.
Well, okay, wait, let me restart. Well, using your math and your theory, Azrael, it is only proper to hate Warrior because if there was no Warrior, it would be 90% Rogue, which would force a nerf. And that sums up my thoughts on the meta.
Wow.
Well done. Well done. Well done. Well done.
Beautiful. Man. It is just nuts. It's nuts that things are at the point that they are right now. With Rogue so clearly and defiantly like just taking that spot. And it's wild because you take it even its hardest counter, which is Odd Warrior, and what'd you say, 47% win rate?
Against its hard counter.
When we normally see hard counters register anywhere from like 41 to 42, 43.
I was say low 40s, yeah.
Yeah, that's just absurd. It's so strong right now.
Yeah, don't take my word for it, guys. Go on HS Replay right now. There's tons of sites out there with I mean, this information is coming off of millions of games. Go do your own homework. Don't take my word for it. The numbers are out there. They fluctuate from day to day, but I've been watching this for 3 weeks now, and these numbers, how often, are almost the same.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there are tons of pros now that are at the point where they're coming out and say, Regis Killman, who's been like the poster child of WoW for the last 6 months, he's day 9, he's not in the picture anymore. Regis Killman has like taken over. Between him and Brian Kibler, they're like the face and the voice of this game. And even he's at the point now where he's like, Warrior needs a nerf and Rogue needs a nerf, and then he's like, nope, it's just Rogue. Warrior's not the problem. Rogue's the problem. Warrior's a little bit of a problem because Dr. Boom's a little broken, but other than that, but Rogue stops being a problem. I mean, it stops being a problem if Rogue stops being a problem. So when you have those guys that are like in Blizzard's pockets coming out and saying this, just saying.
Yeah, it's tough. Great roundup. Always with the numbers. It's absolutely incredible. Literally after our last show when we were in our post meeting chat, I just kept going over the fact that like what you did with the numbers was incredible. Make sure to do that more. And didn't disappoint. It always helps to always get like affirmation when someone says, "Oh no, I think this deck is also too strong." But when you have the numbers to back it up, that's when your argument becomes that much more grounded and becomes that much more like trustworthy to other people.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm gonna tell you like this: the numbers don't matter. What matters is how bad it feels to play against.
Yes.
I'll be honest. If Rogue and Warrior didn't suck to play against, I would still be playing standard ladder. But it feels so bad to lose. It feels bad to win against those decks, which drove me to Wild and solo player content.
You bring up
yes, tomorrow.
You bring up an excellent point, though, and I know we've talked about this before, but one thing that we don't talk a lot about is the feeling that it feels to play against them. Why does it feel bad to play against Warrior? Because you're playing a 45-minute game that feels helpless, and at the same time, when you play Rogue, it's like the times that you do beat it, you're like, well, I got lucky this time, but I'm going to queue into a Rogue next time and I'm going to lose and I just win trade, and it feels bad. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for the breakdown, Az. Really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
I will not be playing Rogue as much as you try, but good luck to anyone who is playing Rogue. When I've been doing my rank 1, rank 2 hovering, it's been overwhelmingly Rogue, Mage, and even a little Druid snuck in. I don't know. Say what you will about the diversity, but it is interesting to see the top 5 highest play rates be Warrior, Rogue, Hunter, Mage, and Druid. And I feel like I keep seeing Shaman pop in when I don't want to see Shaman pop in. So
Big Shaman
Big
Shaman has been making an appearance. It's a reasonable tier 2 deck. It does well enough against Rogue and a few other decks to hold its own.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, guys, Rogue's only a tier 2 deck right now. But it's still played 30% of the time, 25% of the time. It's crazy.
It doesn't matter how good the deck is. Let me say it again for clarity. It doesn't matter how good the deck is or how bad the deck is. What matters is the player's experience playing against it.
True.
Most of the time, it'll suck to lose because you don't want to see your stars disappear. But when the game, when it sucks to win against when it sucks to win, that's when the issue comes in, and that's
such an excellent point. Such an excellent point. When it feels bad to win, then you ask, why am I even doing this? So
yeah.
Okay then.
So, yeah, I think that about does it. No.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much. Here, I'll help kind of take the wind down over real quick because there is one thing, especially for everyone who came in over from Mermaid side, who or anyone during the stream who's caught us towards the end. Every week we do a poll on Twitter from the Eternal Orbit account that asks a question about something that's relatively relevant that's happened in the past week that people can put their perspective on, and we can sort of gauge the community's thoughts on. This week is focused on the Dalaran Heist, which again is the newest solo adventure coming from Blizzard that has been very hyped up, more hyped up than the esports scene. So that should tell you that the focus is there to make this something worth your attention. This week's question, with the Dalaran Heist, you'll get a free chapter of it out of the 5 chapters available. From there on out, you have to buy each chapter for either 700 gold each, $7 each, or you can buy it all at once for $20. So the question for this week on the poll was: is that worth? Is the Dalaran Heist going to be worth the admission price to it? You know, you've got this content available plus the rewards. If you finish the entire set of the adventure, you'll get 15 Rise of Shadow packs, a golden classic pack, a golden copy of Zale's Shadow Cloak, which we had gone over, and actually didn't mention this earlier, but you'll get 2 separate card backs. If you finish the normal one, you'll get a card back. If you get a second one, or if you finish heroic, you'll also get a card back, just different type. And right now we're sitting at 75% of people out of 16 folks saying it's worth the price, 25% saying that it's not. And this lines up much closer to what I was thinking earlier today. It was like 60-40, and I was shocked because I was like, oh wow. Like, my real thoughts on this are, cost wise, you should probably spend the $20 if you're planning on doing this than spending the gold, because it's very inefficient gold wise unless you just have a bunch laying around. But if you have $20 to spare and you have 2,800 gold to spare, just spend the dollars, and I think that'll be the better outcome. But I agree with this. I think it is worth the price. We talked about how it could be better. They could add extra incentives, like when you finish a run, you get 10 gold, and that can stack 3 times, something like that. But yeah, lines up with what I think. What about you guys?
I think Blizzard really knows their worth here. Like they sing about it all the time in rap songs, especially lady rappers. Like you gotta know your worth, and you gotta represent it. You can't let other people take advantage of you. And Blizzard did it right. Just as with always, they know their price points, and I have no idea how they're able to magically always come up with it perfectly, because it's always just enough to entice you to get it, but not too much to prevent you from going, I guess I do have an extra $2.41 left in my BNet account.
Get ready for the stream tomorrow, folks.
Because Azrael said he had mad opinions about this, and I'm mostly excited to hear what he has to say.
Yeah.
Is it interesting that you brought up the price point, because that was actually something I was because I'm a numbers guy, if you guys couldn't tell this, and I love the fact that they know exactly how to price things, because I look at stuff and I go, I have the gold to buy this, but I'm just going to spend the money on it because it's not worth my gold. It's just not. Yes. I was like, originally when they said it's coming out, I was like, oh, finally I have something to spend my gold on, because I got like 2,000 or 12,000 gold just sitting there. And I usually just save it up and I buy some packs, but I never spend it all because I don't need all the packs. So just always have this extra gold to spend. And I'm like, finally I'm gonna have something to spend it on. And then I looked at the price points. And I'm like, they did it to me again. They made it at just the right price to where, to me, it makes more sense. And it's brilliant. It's because they have the metrics. They have the numbers. They know exactly what they're doing, because they've got billions and billions of points of, literally billions of points of data of sales across 30 years of gaming and thousands of microtransactions over the last 15 years. It's brilliant. Yeah. It's a brilliant job. But yeah, I absolutely think it's worth it. If you don't want to spend the money, spend the gold. I think it'll be worth it. I think you'll get fun out of it. I know I would. If I couldn't afford it and I had the gold, I would do it in a heartbeat. I've never not had fun with any of Blizzard's in any of their games solo content ever. Blizzard is like the master of solo content. It's the bread and butter. They've refined and defined industries based on solo content. And over the years, their multiplayer content has overtaken that, because esports, which, by the way, Blizzard pretty much parented with StarCraft, kind of overtook it. But their bread and butter, their backbone has always been that, and they know how to do it, and they know how to do it right, and it's always rewarding. And then it just comes down to a simple economics game. Are you going to get more enjoyment out of 700 gold spent in one of these runs, or 700 gold worth of packs, which is 7 packs? Yeah, if you want to look at it from a number standpoint, and I would argue that you're going to get more enjoyment per cap or per pack out of that 7 packs invested in this than you would 7 packs invested in the standard packs.
Yeah, and you're getting 3 back anyways, so that's
Exactly.
even
It's a
makes
50%
cut it
refund.
closer.
50% refund.
I have one quick question before we wind things down, just because I'm curious about your perspectives on this. As I mentioned, you get a free, I guess technically free, I don't know. When you finish your all 5 chapters, you do get a golden classic pack. For both of you, what do you think is the gold value and the dollar value that you would put on a golden classic pack?
So we know that the worst possible pack you can get is 4 commons and a rare. We know commons are worth 50 to dust a piece, which is 200 dust. And we know a rare is 400. So that's 600. Unless I got my numbers wrong.
You got them backwards. The average standard pack with rare in it is either 35 or 40 dust.
Correct. I was talking about each piece in particular.
Oh, to make them. Yes, to make them. Yes.
Or when you dust it. If you were to dust the gold one, I mean to say. So if you dust a common gold, you get 40 dust. Or if you dust a rare, you get...
Oh, yes.
Or is it...
Yes. Oh, if you're talking about dusting golds. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about a common pack. I totally misunderstood you. Don't listen to me. You're right.
That's what I was trying to add up.
Let the man talk, buddy.
That's what I was trying to add up at the moment. If I was to dust this classic pack, how much would it be worth? You know, we know the average or the bad pack is 40. This one, as I calculated, was 600 or something to that effect. Where that comes into play is how many packs is 600 worth? That's worth 5 times 40 plus times 3, which is 15. So 15 packs. Don't worry about how I do my math. It's totally legit. So 15 packs. So for that reason, absolutely it's worth it. Let's go.
Would you say was that like saying it's worth 1,000 gold then, or like a? I know mathematically we could find the answer.
It would
on
be
this.
1,500 gold.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
1,500 gold. I would argue though that if you're talking about straight dollar value on it, like I look at it like this, because you can't. I understand if you want to like make a comparison, but this isn't a comparable thing, right? Because this is a kind of a rare item, right? I like to look at it from a different angle. Like being a numbers guy, I'm actually gonna like be a little like outside the box on this one. I like to look at it from the standpoint of if they were to sell golden classic packs, what would people be willing to pay for them? That's the question that I would ask, and I say to myself, I'd pay $20 for a golden classic pack. I don't think most people.
Wow.
I don't think most people would, but I would pay $20 for it. I think the price point on it would be like $14.99. I think that's what the price point would be on it, because there has to be a cost to it, or people are just going to buy a bunch of them, right? Because it has to be at least, you said X, the average value of, because it's a gamble, right? At the end of the day, it's a gamble. They won't call it a gamble, but it's a gamble. The gamble is you pay $15. And sometimes you're going to get more than $15 worth of it. Sometimes you're going to get less. And if you buy enough of them, it's going to average out to around just under $15. That's how casinos do it. So you'll have like a 48% chance to break even anytime you do it. And that 2% is the margin that they bank. That's basically how they do it. So that's why I came up with that number. But I'd pay $20 for it if I knew it was going to be good cards. But the price point is actually probably 15. But they couldn't price it lower than 15 because of the math.
Yeah, then leave money on the table pretty much.
Yeah.
If we're going to be real about it, it's a digital card. They're making $15 profit on a $15 pack sold. They're not diluting a market because you cannot buy the cards individually, or you cannot sell the cards individually. So they're not creating any sort of competition. The value of the pack will only ever be what they decide that value is. They do not have a direct correlation of gold to dust or money to dust. Thus, we could never, except China, thus we can never actually truly evaluate it. And now we're talking about, I don't know. Would a $15? I don't think I could ever buy a $15. I don't think I could buy a $5 pack.
I would do that like once a month. I would do that because I actually have a certain amount of money that I budget for games every month, and I would budget it just for the experience. It's like going to the gas station and buying a scratch off ticket. I don't do it every day, but every once in a while I'm like, you know what? Let's just see if I can get a golden. I don't know. I already have a golden rag, but a golden Ragnaros or whatever. You know, like that to me is just kind of fun. It's kind of fun, and it's not breaking my budget.
You might be experiencing the birth of next week's Twitter question, which would be, how much would you willingly spend dollar-wise on a golden classic pack? And we're going to have ranges. I think that's it already. And we can go over the microtransaction thing, because I really want to talk about that, honestly.
Credit as on that one, or Riot. Alrighty.
Yeah. That'll do it for us, though, tonight, folks. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. We really appreciate all the support tonight. A lot of things to cover. We could really fill this episode in our more wild days with like 4 hours of content within a blink of an eye.
But
So
we're trying really hard to keep it reasonable. We actually skipped over some stuff just to do it because we're trying to set a standard here. But nothing we didn't cover we can't cover next week. So reason to keep tuning in.
But yeah, for As Real As It Gets, Exiles Rhythm, and myself, Rude Clouds, thank you again, everybody, for watching. If you are interested in keeping up with us, we have a Twitter account, twitter.com/eternalorbitgg. We also have a website, eternalorbit.gg. And then if you want to become one of our patrons, like we have a few already, and help support us that way, the website has a link to all of that, along with our merch. So
Tune in Sunday.
that's a little,
Tune in Sunday.
Tune in Sunday.
Sunday. Pictionary.
Oh, yeah, no, please, you guys plug that.
And
As?
yeah, and guys, if you didn't know, we just tweeted out earlier this week, we are having our next EO team event this Sunday over on fellow Eternal Orbit teammate Blumplunk's channel. This Sunday, it'll be at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central European time. I got it, guys. I did the math in my head on the fly. Yes. We're going to be playing basically Pictionary. What's it called? Scriblio? I think is how you
Scribble.io.
Scribble.io. We're going to be playing some Pictionary essentially with the whole team, and it's going to be a really fun time because I can't draw. And I can't wait to laugh at my own horrible attempts to try and win this game. I can't draw with a pen. I can't draw with Michelangelo's hand in a pen. So drawing with a mouse is going to be real fun. But there's also going to be some interesting new information coming out. So make sure you tune in for that little tidbit, huh? Wink, wink, nod, nod, nod.
Honestly, a super big deal. We're excited to reveal something very soon.
Dun,
The
dun,
Blizzard
dun.
goodbye as well. You know, we're
This
being
is
very
an
vague about
announcement
it.
of an announcement, guys.
Yeah, we learned from the best, for real. How many announcements did we have announcing this announcement of the solo player release in a few days?
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Yeah, but first follow this quest. So
And then
yeah,
pay $6.99 or 700 gold.
And you'll get a free Golden Classic pack.
sweet science. So, as we mentioned, that'll do it for all three of us. Please tune in to us on Sunday, as well as next week on Wednesday. We'll be back with another episode and cover some more exciting topics. So, thank you again all for your time tonight. Fellas, say goodbye, and we will catch you in the next one.
Goodbye.
Buy the merch.